There's always another book. Um, I've been telling myself that a lot lately. It's something that I tend to remind myself of whenever I get any sort of like anxiety about the projects I'm working on. It's always that reminder that there can be another book after the one you're working on. For me, it's I used to be very protective of my work. I used to, especially with short stories, I used to be very protective of it, where I didn't want, like, where every single short story had to be perfect. Every single short fiction piece I wrote had to be magnificent. And if I got a single rejection at all, for it, that piece was never going to see the light of day. Because I wanted the thing that I submitted to be like my very first fiction. I wanted that to be the piece that was going to make the big magazine. That was going to make, the Paris Review, the New Yorker, or whatever. Like that first fiction story had to be the one, which is part of the reason why no fiction story I've ever written has ever been published. It's not that I don't think that necessarily that bad, but I've taken one rejection per story here, or just a handful of rejections basically, and basically said nope, those are not going to ever see ever see the light of day. It's something I'm working on with myself right now, but when it comes to my books, I've become a lot more relaxed. I don't have that kind of neurosis when it comes to the novels. It's something I don't know why it is. I don't get it, to be honest. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it is with books as opposed to short stories. But when it comes to books, I've always kept the mentality of each book I write is just a kind of a link in a continual chain of improvement. They're not so much about needing to be the absolute masterpieces, the absolute best things ever written. They're simply just evolutions. They're better than the books I wrote prior. It's not so much getting the book better. It's about just seeing if I myself am improving as a writer. Which that's I think that's got to be your attitude when it goes into this. And again, for some reason, when it comes to short fiction, I don't know why that's not sunk into me, but it's something I'm working on. But I've been telling myself more and more, especially lately, that there's always the next book. That because even as I get closer, to getting tarot done here, I continually have more and more self doubts. For me, it's weird. It's and the closer I get to finishing something, the more the self doubt starts to set in. I don't know what it is, but I've been feeling a little bit of that lately, and it's just been a constant reminder that there's always a next book. Even if something does work out, even if I get this book done and publisher sees it and they're not interested in it, they've changed their mind, their opinions change, whatever it might be. Hey, there's the next one. There's always the next one. And yeah, I mean that's the thing that's been keeping me going. It's just been that. In many ways, that's kind of the joy of writing. Like, to be honest, like, there's not too many activities in life where you can just continually do another one in perpetuity up until basically you're dead. Like, I mean, if you want to be like a pro athlete, right? Like, say you want to play in the say you want to play in the NFL, right? You've got your 20s and to 20s to mid 30s basically at this point to be a pro NFL player. I know you got Tom Brady playing in his 40s and all that stuff, but like, it's a very short window. Any kind of pro athlete, basically, it's very short. Most activities in life, you get worse as you age. Writing is one of the few where age is on your side, where the older you get, the better your writing is. The average person that's won the Pulitzer Prize, for example, I'm pretty certain is in like their 50s, like that, and that's probably just the average, from what I've seen. Like the people that win the awards, the people's magnum opuses, oftentimes that comes very late in their careers, later in their lives, usually on the other side of at least 40. Not many activities are like that. Not many activities can you do for decades and decades and decades and get better. Usually there's a bit of a slope. It's just very fortunate that writing is the one where you can kind of keep going forever. And that excites me too. Like it excites me to the idea that I'm, in my early 30s right now, the idea that a decade from now, being in my 40s, where my writing could be at that time. Like, could I, be in my 40s, right? Where will my books be then? Like where will my skill be at? It's scary. Like, it's scary in a very exciting way. Like, it's I do think if you take a committed person and you give them like a decade, what they can get done at the end of that decade is like immeasurable. I really do. So for me, that's been very, very, that's been carrying me through a lot, is just thinking ahead, just reminding myself that, yeah, this I'm going through a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of stress basically over this thing right now. A decade from now, though, your writing basically will be, could be so much different from what you're doing now. It could be so many leaps and bounds better that you may not even recognize it. You wouldn't even recognize it was your own writing right now. You'd read it and you'd go, wow, this is a masterful writer. I can't believe this. And, it would shock you to realize that. And so for me, that's what I'm thinking about right now. I'm trying to, whenever things get too stressful based on my project, it's always good to zoom out. Just for me, it's zooming out. It's looking ahead. It's not so much focusing on the immediate problem. That's been my sort of solution, I guess, to the writer's anxiety, or whatever you want to call it, because I'm feeling it now. I'm definitely, yeah, with this story basically, and then the other one, the small town wrestling story as well. Trying to get that done like in the next 4 or 5 months. I mean, that's as as comfortable as I might sound in some of these videos. Believe me, there's definitely a level of worry here. There's definitely a level of like, all right, we've got to really keep pushing. We got to keep going, and then that doesn't make the writer's anxiety any easier. On an up note, though, I'm over halfway done now with the tarot revisions, which is perfect. So I should be done by the end of the month still. Hopefully, at some point early next week is my goal, but we'll see. Until then, I'm just going to keep plugging along and just page after page after page, just keep tackling it, just really one page at a time.